Hi, boys and girls. It's Miss Kathy, and I'm in my bedroom, and I'm getting ready for a nighttime story. So I thought maybe you would like to join me in my story tonight. I am doing a story about my favorite character. I love this guy. His name is Sunday School Charlie. Now, the reason they call him Sunday School Charlie is he loves to go to Sunday school. He goes to Sunday school every week, and he's a good listener, and he listens, and he loves to learn Bible stories. And he has gone to Sunday school so many times that he earned a Sunday school pin. And he wears that Sunday school pin everywhere he goes because he wants everybody to know how much he loves going to Sunday school. Well, anyway, when our story starts, Sunday School Charlie is sitting out in the front of his house, and he is waiting for his best friends to come by because they have a very, very important job to do today. Now, while he was waiting, he was thinking of all the fun things he did over summer because summer was almost over, and he was thinking about all the fun things he did. He was thinking about when he went fishing. He loved to go fishing and catch big fish. That was so much fun. And he loved playing baseball. He was on a baseball team that won the championship this year, and he was so excited about that. Then he got to go to camp. And when he was at camp, he made so many friends, and he had such a good time learning about Jesus at camp. And he even got to work at his friend's daddy's trucking place that he owned. Charlie's friend Daddy owned a trucking company called Triangle Trucking, and he let the boys come over and help sometimes, and Charlie got to go in the big trucks, and he loved it. But that was all past now because it was September, and it was time to go back to school. Now, Charlie was really excited about school this year because he was going to get a brand new teacher. He was in 5th grade, and he was going to get a brand new teacher, and he was so excited. He had never met the teacher before, but he heard that she was really nice, so he was really excited. So while he was waiting, his 2 friends joined him. Now, these are Charlie's bestest buddies everywhere. This is Charlie, and this is his good friend Preston. Preston's daddy owns that trucking place I showed you. His daddy owns that. So this is Charlie, this is Preston, and this guy, it's easy to remember his name because he has red hair and his name is Red. So we've got Charlie, we've got Preston, and we've got Red. And they had a big job today because they were going to the store. Now, do you know what they were going to buy at the store? They were going to buy brand new pencils for school and maybe some erasers, maybe some rulers, and all that kind of good stuff that you need when you go to school. So while they were walking on their way to the store, they saw across the street this man walking by. Now, this was a very important man. This was Mr. Brown, and Mr. Brown was Charlie's Sunday school teacher. Remember I told you, Charlie loved Sunday school. That's how he got his Sunday school pin. And so they all waved to Mr. Brown, and Mr. Brown said, "Where are you guys all going? Where are you off to?" And they said, "Well, we're going to the store because we're going to buy some pencils and stuff for school." And Mr. Brown said, "Oh, I bet you're so excited about school. Well, be good guys, and we'll see you at Sunday in Sunday school." And so they started on down the road. And while they were walking, they were trying to remember what their Sunday school story was about. And they were thinking and thinking. And Charlie said, "Oh, I remember." And we'll see if you can guess. It was about a man whose daddy gave him a really pretty coat. I mean, it had all different colors on it, and his daddy gave it to him because he loved him so much. Do you know what that man's name was, that little boy's name was? His name was Joseph. And Joseph was loved by his daddy so much that his daddy wanted to give him a very, very special coat. But a very sad thing happened to Joseph because Joseph had a lot of brothers. How many of you have brothers and sisters? Well, he had a bunch of them, and they were jealous because they knew Daddy loved Joseph so much, and they were kind of jealous because he got a really pretty coat and they didn't. Did you ever get jealous of your brothers and sisters? Well, they were kind of jealous, and they did something really mean to Joseph. They took Joseph and they ripped that coat off of him, and they threw him in a big old pit all by himself. And Joseph must have been very, very, very scared and very, very, very sad. But their Sunday school teacher, Mr. Brown, taught them a very, very good verse to learn and to know that every time when you don't think things are going very well, that God is in control. So Charlie and Red and Preston, they were trying to remember their verse because they had to memorize it for Sunday school. And they were trying to remember, and we know something, something, good things, and they couldn't remember it. And then Charlie said, well, I remember it because I learned how to sing it. And it goes like this. And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are the called according to his purpose. Romans 8:28. Preston said, I remember now. Can you teach me to sing it? Charlie said, sure, let's sing it together. And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are the called according to his purpose. Romans 8:28. Boys and girls, do you think you can sing that with me? And I'm going to teach you a special sign that will help you remember it. I'm going to teach you how to sign the word good. Now, to sign the word good, you have to have 1, 2 hands. So you have 2 hands. Let me see your hands. Okay, got 2? All right. Make your hands flat like you're holding a big building or something. You're just holding it up. So put your hands like this. Okay, now take this hand and put it on top of this hand. Now you can't make a lot of noise. You can't go boom. Okay, you gotta be real quiet. And that is the sign for good. If you were really good for your mommy today, she would say, you were very... If you did a good job on your test, your teacher might say, wow, that was very... So let's try our song again. And when we get to the word good, we're going to do that. Okay, can you do it? All right, try it with me. Ready? And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are the called according to his purpose. Romans 8:28. Now those boys, Charlie, Preston, and Red, they looked pretty silly walking down the sidewalk singing, but they didn't care because they loved God's word so much that they just sang. And they didn't sing very well either, but they sang it really loud. Well, finally, they got to the store to buy the pencils, and it was like when Mommy takes you to Walmart and it's really crowded. I mean, there were like a gazillion people in the store, and it was so crowded. So they kind of wiggled their way into the aisles, and they finally got to where the pencils were. And boy, there weren't very many left. It was like people went crazy, and they took all the pencils. So they all picked out the pencils they wanted and the erasers they wanted. And just when they were getting away from the table, Red dropped his pencil. And he reached down to pick it up again, and he got up and he bumped into a lady. And oh, he almost knocked her down. And he goes, oh, ma'am, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to bump into you. And she was an older lady, kind of like Miss Kathy. And she said, well, it's all right, son, but let's be a little more careful next time, all right? And Red said, oh, yes, ma'am, I will be more than careful. So they went and they paid for their pencils, and they got outside the store. And you know how boys are. Boys just can't walk somewhere. They always got to run. So Charlie, Red, and Preston decided that they were going to race home and see who could race down the one street the quickest. So ready, set. Wow! They were just running, and they were running so fast. And they were running so fast that they weren't paying attention to where they were going. And they happened to run past a store that sold something that comes in a box like this. Do you know what comes in a box like this? If your mommy brought a box like this in the house, do you think you would know what was in it? Can you guess? I'm listening. What do you think's in it? Let's see if you were right. Did you guess choo-choo train? Miss Kathy, there's not choo-choo trains in a box like this. How about bananas? Green bananas. No, not for green bananas. Is it for Minnie Mouses? It's not for Minnie Mouses either, but it is for something that Minnie Mouse has on. Do you see what she has on her feet? She has shoes. And this is a shoebox. And if your mama goes to the store and she buys you shoes, sometimes they come in a shoebox. So Charlie, Red, and Preston were running, and they didn't notice that a lady walked out of the shoe store, and she was holding 1, 2, 3 shoeboxes. 1, 2, 3. She must have been like my little girl, because my little girl used to love shoes. And this lady had 3 shoeboxes. Well, Red, Preston, and Charlie weren't watching where they were going. And they bumped into the lady, and the shoeboxes went flying everywhere. And there were shoes everywhere on the sidewalk. I mean, there just were shoes everywhere. And Charlie and Preston and Red did not mean to do that. They were so very sorry. And they started gathering up the shoes and trying to put the right shoes. And they were all ladies' shoes with the big high heels. And they were trying to put the shoes back in. And oh, ma'am, we're so sorry. And they got them, and they handed the lady back her shoes. And Red's eyes got so big. When he looked up, it was the same lady that he bumped into at the pencil store. And he almost knocked her down that time. And they handed her back her boxes, and they said, "Ma'am, we're so sorry." Well, she was angry. She looked over the end of her glasses, and she said, "You boys shouldn't have been running. Why were you going so fast? You almost knocked me down, and you knocked down all my shoes." She was very angry. And the boys, they just kept apologizing and apologizing. And Charlie said, "Oh, ma'am, we're so sorry. We were just so excited about school, and we were just running, and we weren't watching where we were going." And she said, "Wait a minute. Where do you guys go to school?" "We're starting school tomorrow at Oak Street School." And the lady said, "I teach at Oak Street School." The boy's eyes got so big. And the lady asked, "What grade are you guys in?" "We're in 5th grade, ma'am." "I'm the new 5th grade teacher. You're going to be in my class. And you boys are off to a really bad start. I'm going to keep my eyes on you 3. I can tell you're troublemakers." And off she went. Now, Charlie, Red, and Preston, they didn't mean it. And they weren't troublemakers. But boy, they were in trouble now. They were so excited about school, but now they were so frightened. And that night, when Charlie went to bed, he could not sleep because he thought, I got to get up in the morning and I got to go to school. And that teacher doesn't like me already. What am I going to do? Now, I'm not going to finish my story tonight. I'm going to make you come back tomorrow night and we will do another part of our story. And I want you to be really good for Mommy and Daddy. And I want you to behave. And I want you to practice your verse because I would like you to sing it with me tomorrow when we come back. So you want to try it one more time before we call it a night? Let's try it. And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are the called according to his purpose. Romans 8:28. I love you, boys and girls. Have a good night.